Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be pre-farming for the newest electro character coming in Genshin 6.0, Flins. I am super excited for this character and I cannot wait for his release, so I'm going to try to pre-farm a lot of his essential pieces that he will need for his build. Since we already kind of know what Flynn's kit is by just looking up online, we can already tell what kind of character he is. He is an electro character that prioritizes lunar charge, which is in a reaction that's between Electro and Hydro, but it is buffed if it's caused by a Nodcry character, which Flynn is. So typically for DPSs, the usual format is whatever substat they scale off of on the sands. For example, in Flynn's case, it's attack, and for the Goblet, it's usually damage percent, which is the elemental that they are, where for Flynn, it would have been electro damage, but since he prioritizes lunar charge, which does not scale up damage percent, we are going to go for attack percent. And obviously for the circlet, it's going to be crit, but since Flynn uses the new Knight of the Skies Unfailing set, it gives him 30% crit rate. Not only that, since we know his 5-star weapon is also crit rate, we're kind of gonna need to push a little bit more crit damage in terms of the substat of his build. So the typical format for the main stats of the build we're gonna need to go for the sand is gonna be attack, for Goblet it's gonna be attack, and for circlet it's gonna be crit, typically more in crit damage since we are gonna get a lot of crit rate from the set and from his weapon. And for substats for Flynn, it's going to be crit, attack, EM, and ER. Typically, a lot of the time you want to go for crit, but if you can get attack, ER, or EM, those are nice. So this is all the pieces that I have pre-farmed from using 48 fragile resin, which is a lot of resin, but hopefully from all of these 5-star artifacts, we can get something really good to start off our Flynn build before his release. Alright, to start off, let's start off with the flowers, since flowers are the pieces that are typically easier to farm compared to other pieces. This one has crit damage and energy recharge. Flat attack is nice, useful, but not really typical for our build. Okay, let's start with the first one. Whoa, okay. Crit damage, energy recharge, that is very good. This piece is starting off very good. The next one is flat defense. Okay, we can keep going because this was a 4-liner at the start. So one roll off is not that bad. But this next one is going to definitely energy recharge. Energy recharge is essential for Flynn's because his elemental burst is an 80 energy cost, which is really high. So energy recharge is essential for his build, so this isn't bad. But this next roll has to hit crit damage for me to keep this piece. If it doesn't, then it really doesn't matter, because since Flynn's is a DPS, I want him to get as much crit as possible. Okay, alright, that's a very good piece to start off. This is a very nice piece, even though it doesn't have crit rate. Again, he does get a lot of crit rate from the start. Between this set and his 5-star weapon, this is actually pretty good. The next one has attack percent and crit damage, does not have ER, which is totally fine. I like how now we can see what the force stat is for whenever we roll an artifact. So for this one, since it did roll flat attack, I am going to throw this away, because typically for DPS builds or any other character build, for a good artifact, at least 4 rolls, which is typically the max you would get on an artifact, has to go into the stats that really matter for the character that you're building. So for Flynn's, at least 4 substats has to go into attack or any crit stat. Typically I will like attack, but ER is not bad. This one only has crit damage, so we are gonna see if we can get a 4 roll on crit. No, I would go for 1 more if it has another EM. No, I would prefer ER over EM just because of how high energy cost his burst is. This one has attack percent and a crit damage. Goes to defense percent. No, this one has attack percent and crit damage. See, this one goes attack percent. That's very nice. You can keep going. And flat attack, that's not good. To our last flower, this is a double crit with EM, which is not bad, but we definitely want everything to go into crit. EM, not bad. If we can get 3 rolls in the crit, that's also not bad. Ooh, okay. One into crit damage. Another into EM. I wanted to go all the way to see where it goes. Crit damage. Okay. This is also a good piece. I would definitely keep this one just in case of how good the build overall gets. All right, so now let's move on to feathers. This one has ER crit damage, 1 into defense percent. Not bad since it is a 4-liner. The next one goes to ER, that's good. Next one, defense percent, that's not good anymore, unfortunately. This one is a double crit with EM. 4 stat is flat HP. Let's see what the roll goes into. Wow. Since this is our starter piece, we can go for one more, and that's it for it. This one only has attack and crit damage. The 4 stat being defense percent. Okay, attack percent, that's good. Flat defense. Attack percent, crit damage again. Let's see where this goes. Flat HP. Let's go for one more since we are looking for starter piece and defense percent. Okay, this one has EM, ER, and crit damage. That's the 4 stat. Okay, defense. Out of all the stats, it went at the defense percent. That's the one thing that's really annoying about farming artifacts, even though you have 3 substats that are good. Okay, this one has crit damage ER. Okay, 7% crit damage roll. Ooh, a 7.8 crit damage roll. Can we keep going? ER, if this goes into either ER or hopefully crit damage, it will be a good starter piece. And it goes into crit damage. Let's go. All right, that's a new starter piece. That is a new starter piece. Now we have basically a flower and a feather, 2 pieces in our build. Let's go into the critical pieces of our build, which are the big 3, the sands, the goblet, and the circlet. Let's start with the sands. We have basically 2 of each, but let's start with the sands. Now, for sands, we don't have attack percent. However, in Flint's case, ER can be good if we really need a lot of it. And fortunately, we have 2 pretty good ER pieces. This one has double crit, and this one has EM and crit damage. So for this one, let's go ahead and see where we get into. Flat HP. We can kill 1 roll. And defense percent. Let's do 1 more. Crit damage, okay. Let's see what the next one goes into. Defense percent. Unfortunately, that is a dead piece. This one is going to be double crit, which could be really good. High base crit rolls. Say, first one goes into crit. 7%. That's good. One goes to defense percent. So typically for the big 3 pieces, you can leeway 1 off roll and hopefully get 3 rolls into the stats you want. So hopefully this next one goes into it is a father piece. Next, let's go into the goblet. Since we do want attack percent for the goblet for Flins, it is typically gonna be slightly easier to get because typically attack percent on goblets is easier to farm. So for this first one, it's just crit damage, flat attack. Hopefully we get all the rolls into crit damage, flat attack. Hopefully the next one, flat attack again. For the sake of content, let's go for 1 more. Defense percent. Alright, let's go into this one, which I have high hopes for. It has double crit. I really hope this goes good. Okay. First roll goes into defense. That's not good. That's really not good. Next one. 2. Oh. I want to go 1 more. Crit damage, okay. Let's do 1 more. Flat defense. Okay, so no sands, no goblets. We do have 2 circlets. Now, I did say we do want crit damage for the circlet, but it doesn't mean we can't go for a crit raise circlet, just in case if the substats that we get on our artifacts kind of fluctuate into leading more to a crit raise circlet. So we do have this really good one, honestly. It has 3 substats that we need: crit damage, attack, and ER for a crit raise circlet. So we can go ahead and start leveling this up. ER, not bad. That's really good. ER again. Okay, not bad. Crit damage. There we go. That's the stat we need. Crit damage again. If we can get 1 more, this will be God tier. Let's go. All right. Now, This is a good piece. This is a very good piece. Now, it does heavily depend on how our substats fluctuate between our entire build, but for now, this is a very, very good piece. So we will definitely keep that. In this one, almost similar, does not have attack percent, and is not a 4-liner at the start, but we can keep leveling this up. ER, that's not bad. ER again. Crit damage. Can we get one more? And flat attack. Oh no, unfortunately this is not a good piece. Decent piece, but definitely does not beat this one. All right, and that is all the pieces that we have pre-farmed for Flins for now. A lot of resin, but with a lot of resin can give you very few artifacts. But for now, we have 3 good starters. We have a good feather, we have a good flower, and we have a definitely good crit recirclet. Personally, I would prefer a crit damage circlet, but for Flins for now, since we are starting off pretty early in the 6.0 patch, this is definitely a good start. And if things get worse later on when we do get closer to Flint's release, I do have a lot of elixir depending on which of the big 3 pieces that I would need to farm, and can get the double crit stat I will need. And to ensure I get a god tier piece, I do also have 7 Dust of Alignment just to ensure I get a god tier piece for Flynn if it does come to that, because I definitely want to save this for Nefer, because I am also excited for her. But nonetheless, I am excited for both Flynn's and Nefer, and for now we do have pretty good pieces for Flins, but this is only part 1 of the journeys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more progress towards my Flint build, definitely leave a like on this video to support my channel, and to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. That's it for today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.